This is how much we know about movies. We just if you want a raw review of movies, you're getting it right here because we don't know shit.
Dad! Oh, fuck, I don't know, man. Is that like nostalgia purposes for kids these age?
I don't give a shit. I don't care.
We get that, Pop.
Fine, I'll Google it. Through the magic
you don't
of podcasting.
have to Google it. I'm just saying, just take it out.
No.
Not bring it out, or just be better prepared.
Shut your fucking mouth.
I am your father.
Man, sometimes I wish like things would stay at a simpler time mentality.
Welcome to the Two Dads Review podcast. So let's talk this episode because there's nothing else crazy going on. We'll just jump right into the episode as it is, and we'll jump right to the end. In fact, we'll jump to like the last seconds because I wanted to ask you, after all I've backgrounded you on, did the ending ring a bell to you?
Like, what ending are we talking about? Like, you gotta like give me the scene.
When she,
like,
I'm talking about when she searches.
You're talking about when you go ending.
When she searches for the numbers in reverse order, and it pulls up that planet. Does that ring a bell to you?
Yeah, that I said, why do I know that word?
Nice.
Okay,
good. Perfect.
So like, yeah, it was in my brain, and I immediately went, where do I know that from? Like, what have I seen that in, or whatever? Like, but you could ask me the word down, I couldn't tell you what the word was. You know, like, I don't know, but yes, when she popped in the numbers and it was like found, of course.
Talos 4.
This is what pissed me off. Oh, yeah, because I immediately thought the Talos Principle, the video game. And then I was like, no, that's not it. And then my brain went, hold on. Someone chirps this in your ear before. And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, oh, yeah, the only other guy that'd be talking Star Trek to me in my ear ever. Like,
right? That makes me so proud of you for being a non-Trekkie and picking up, at least just having it ping in your brain, like, why do I know this?
Mm-hmm, yeah, no, it most certainly like went off, and I went, I don't know if Clay said it, or like I genuinely actually just kind of remembered that word from, like, I've caught a bunch of Star Trek episodes, but at no point did I ever chain watch them or like really focus in on the series, you know what I'm saying? It was just like, oh, hey, TBS is playing this for 9 hours straight. Like, I'll watch it, but I would also take a 4-hour nap in the middle of it, you know, or whatever. I love when you hear stuff and you make a face. Is that weird child thing that you heard last time?
No, it's someone coming downstairs or was coming downstairs. I don't know. It shouldn't be happening.
But I love the face you make, because if like I need to start recording you just to catch those because when that happens, man, like I want to put a horror soundtrack behind it because your face is fucking perfect for like the immediate like, ooh, I'm not sure I want to look left, because like your eyes go big, your mouth goes a little open, and you can see in your head where you go, I know I'm not supposed to hear anything. Do I really want to look that direction right now?
If I don't look, it's not there.
Yep. That's the exact thought.
Wait, were you in my basement when the weird child noise happened?
No, it was on the podcast, and you.
No, I know. Were we recording here? You weren't here.
No, it was just me watching you through the thing, and you were like, I heard a kid, because I heard it through the mic, and I was like, what the hell was that, dude? And then you're like, something I'm not supposed to be hearing. And then there was like nothing there. I was like, did you see little shadowy feet? And you're like, no, but I heard it.
Like, we're just going to leave that one where it's at. I don't want to deal with that. Yeah, no, in my basement. And it doesn't help that I'm a scaredy. Like, my brain messes with me more than anything in this world. So I have all kinds of imaginative things that could happen to me down here.
Yeah, and that's where you think of like something stupid too. Where you go like, I really wish, okay, my door opens as an outswinger. Man, I really wish I had a rope to tie on that handle that I could just like tie the other end to, say, my computer desk right now, you know, just so it doesn't open, like just in case, like, you know, like you think of the most irrational shit.
my fear is like you watching me and then I just get ripped from in front of my screen and you're like, what just happened?
Yeah, if that happened, I would be hitting like the end call button immediately, and my children and I would be in a car. My dog would be in the car, dropped off with my parents, and I'd be like, I will call you, and I'll tell you where to mail him to me. Because I will have fled this fucking state. I will have left everything I own right then and there and just be gone.
Right. He has connection to me. They know where I live.
Yeah.
They were on the other side of the internet.
Doesn't matter what it was that snagged you. Nothing to do with it. VA, it would be officially like a red zone. You just don't go there.
Like Canada for you.
Yeah. And now the more the way I am, like I want to go back to Canada.
Except you're not sure if you're allowed back there anymore. We've told that story before on the podcast.
I know, that's the only problem. I should really like check that shit out, because I feel like actually I'm probably more Canadian-esque than I am American-esque at this point.
So you understood Talos 4. That's good. Back to the show.
Right, yeah.
You understood Talos 4. That's awesome. Did you watched the next on the coming up on next episode clip at the very end?
Yes. Like where?
So you caught the giant big head guys?
Yeah, the purple dudes, the guys that look like the Watchers.
Yeah, they're reimagining. They're the reimagination of the Talosians from Talosians from the Cage and Menagerie. Like that's their heads aren't. It's actually, if you go back to the Cage, the makeup and prosthetics for the big-headed guys back in the 60s was actually really cool. Like, it looks like the skin all blends nice, their heads are massive, and like they have like tubing pumped to the veins on their side of their head, and they're like pulsating. Mm-hmm. You know, like it looked really good for being in the 60s. So all the times like we sit here and I make fun of the fact that there's buttons and switches and the special effects from the 60s, like some of their makeup stuff was friggin' on point back then, you know, because it's real. It's not CGI. So it's like, it's hard for, you know, they took the time to blend colors and make things look right. And it's pretty awesome. But yeah, that it's cool because we get to go back there, or we get to go there for the first time with Discovery, or at least with Michael and Spock and whatever's going on there. But I'm sure there'll be numerous references to what happened in the Cage. The girl that's still on the planet, I believe in the Cage she stayed. Like, they didn't take her with them because she was all screwed up, and she chose to stay like and live beautiful as opposed to like go back to civilization and be ugly because she was all messed up. So that'll be neat to see who they cast for her and what her part is, if they even bring her up. I'm assuming they will. But yeah, if they I'm gonna have to like go and I may actually make you come sit over here and sit down and watch The Cage just to see it, just to watch it, the pilot, just so you kind of know what we're looking for. Like because there's probably gonna be like, it's gonna be so many Easter eggs. It's gonna be like, well, like Easter next week's episode. It really is. Like, it's gonna be, oh, that's this from that. No, here's this. No, they just referenced that. Like, it's gonna be crazy. This one, not so much. But this week also kept us on our streak of Pike trying to get himself killed. Every week, every time, he's like, let me see what I can do this time.
Yeah. And I like how they call him out on it. You know,
Ash finally was just like, bro, you got what you wanted.
Yeah. This episode, like, was, like, weird to me. Mm-hmm. Because it was like one story, and then like the other story, and then like how they're all kind of intertwined a little bit, you know. But the way they did it was kind of funky in my brain because they did like long sections of like each one. You know, it was just kind of like, here's 20 minutes or whatever, here's 15 minutes of this one, and then it was neat because it would like come back into where you would have like whoever the crew people were that were dealing with whatever matters were going on, but then like the one person that is the mix, like, you know, in this case it's like Tilly like going to get like Stamets or whatever, you know, and then you have like even like right at the very beginning, you know, the whole them talking, narrating the beginning of the episode, and Burnham packing her bag, like already having it all going, and then her and the captain doing the like out loud argument than to stand there in the middle of the hallway and whisper about sensitive information. But then, like,
right.
As he leaves, the camera, then it's like, who am I picking? Because, like, the door cuts and, like, it follows Burnham out, but then it, like, goes right back over to him. And you start picking up on their story, and it's going, and it was kind of neat, because I would also, like, get kind of sucked into one part of it, and then the next part would, like, fervently kick up because it was always the captain now about to, like, die, or then it turned into, like, Spock just insanely mumbling in a brain eraser, and it was like, damn, dude, everybody is, like, they need a chill episode almost at this point. Like, everybody has been on edge for quite some time with, like they're just talking about, like, temporal distortions like it's fucking Taco Tuesday. God damn it, man. I'm in the lunchroom again. Oh, that burger was in my mouth. Now it's back in my hands. God damn it.
You gotta put time in front of everything. It makes it way cooler. I loved that running joke from Tilly the whole time. And I'm with you. There was a definite, like each storyline almost, there was like, okay, how about I put this way? There was like one too many storylines in this episode. So all of them got a little less attention than they should have. So they kind of like jumped to their conclusion quicker than I was expecting the show to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that happened. And I liked it. Like, it wasn't
it's not a bad episode at all.
Bad way to, like, tell it all.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of liked how they did that weird, odd transition sometimes, like almost like as a live transition, like like Tilly walking to another part of something, and then it's just like, now we're in that part of the story, and here we go, and it was, but then and then of course it was just like commercial break, and then we're just over here now, right. So it's like it kind of just, but then you'd get lost in what was ever going on, because again, like, even Tilly having fun at the beginning of the episode, like Saru, like, gives the look like, hey, young lady, we don't talk like that in front of the captain, kind of thing. And like, and then he did it again later when she makes like one extra joke while he's like out there, like, flying, and it's like, everybody was just serious. Like, like, I get it. Saru's just going to be a little more serious dude probably now for a little while, because he's still all like, I don't know what this newfound testosterone is. It's coursing through my body. So I get, but like, I know we're hitting the heights of these episodes of like everything going bonkers.
Mm-hmm.
But I need them all to be in a concentrated effort now. Like, everybody needs to be doing one directive towards one thing. Like this was too much, man. Like, everybody was out doing their own shit, like trying to get information or what's not to the little end goal here, but not one of them had like a melatonin mood kicking through there. Like, everybody was just like, I never got a break. Everybody kept bouncing around to these high octane areas, and I was like, dude, this episode needs to chill out. I'm trying to relax. I just told my buddy, I'm done for the day. Like, I'm tired of working. I'm going to go watch a nice TV show. And this TV show's got me sitting on the edge of the couch, like my toes dug into my shoes. And I'm like getting the feels every time young Spock pops up on the fucking TV. And him and Michael are like having these heart to hearts. And then you're figuring out like why he was making the looks, and you're kind of getting their story. And I'm like, I am just overloaded in all directions at this point now.
It's too much for a Sunday night where I was up late watching UFC the night before. Yeah, I just want to go to sleep.
I've been hyped up for just too long. I needed an easy episode.
Yeah, this was definitely not it. I guess if I were to have one complaint about the episode, is I felt at the very beginning when the Red Angel like shoots another burst towards the planet for whatever reason that initially kicks off their whole like temporal issue. I don't feel like they established what we saw hard enough to me. Like, I was like, so when they started investigating the temporal anomaly, I'm like, where did that, like, would that just, like, pop up? Is that what happened? What we just, like, I did, was it the very beginning? Was it already there? Is it existing? I couldn't, like, grasp, like, where it came. I mean, we saw it shoot the thing, but, you know, I don't know. You know, we also saw, like, a flashback to Saru seeing the Red Angel again. So I was like, where are we? Is this live? Is this still flashback stuff? What's going on right now on the planet? So
that was just like what do they call it? Like, yeah, they're using the past clips. I mean, everything that we saw is stuff that has already happened. It was just like the visuals of someone's thought as Michael was like narrating the opening of the episode. Like that's what I took it as. Like,
well, yeah, the Saru shot of him looking at the angel was from what had happened before, but like the Red Angel appearing, I think is what, and another shot went towards the planet, I thought, or if it just like appeared. I couldn't tell if it was a burst.
That looked like just the same shot they showed in the episode where the
that's what I thought.
Went down. You know,
exactly. So I was like, wait, you're showing me that? You're showing me the thing down on the planet? Like, are we? And then they said and temporal stuff. I was like, when did that happen? And then we're just in it because they were already like gushing over it and wanting to go explore it and shoot probes into it, and we completely didn't like. It just kind of grazed over when it like started. So I was like, okay, cool. We're there. We're talking temporal things. Fine. I'm with you. So I did like, you know, I liked as we talked about Tilly being, she's back to, at least to this episode, she's back to her chipper self. So I'm glad that's happening. But, I liked what do they call it? A temporal echo? Like when Ash and Pike had like that dick measuring contest, and he's like, he tosses him what a fucking dick. Like when he popped his Section 31 badge and tosses it to him. I was like, dude, fuck you. Come on. He's like, you want my authority? Here's my authority. Threw it at him. He's like, dude, and like at Pike, Pike's always like so just good old boy, like back home, and he's just like so calm and chill all the time. He's like, the chair outweighs the badge, man.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're so awesome. You're so cool.
Well, that's like one of those things when, you know, especially in our neck of the woods, when you mention like slugging to people, and they're like, so you get in a stranger. First of all, you drive your car, park it, then get in a stranger's car, and then they drop you off at another spot, and then you get another stranger's car and come home. Like that's the idea. First, it takes them like an hour just to wrap their mind like around that concept. Right. And then I love when they get to the like the what ifs, right? And basically like that's Pike right there is, well, what if you got two strangers in your car and you're driving? So, well,
right.
What if they
Pike's
pull a gun out? What if they pull out a gun or anything? Okay, that's fine. I'll just go 110, and we'll just see what that guy really wants me to do. Is my ass is just hauling 1,000 miles an hour down an interstate at a wall. Like,
right.
I don't think anybody's crazy enough to tip the guy driving the vehicle. Like, that's pretty much Pike right there. Like, unless you remove me from this chair and then break all my limbs, buddy, it don't matter.
Right. But yeah, so he volunteers right away, and Saru half-heartedly tries to stop him, which is just like, here's the captain of the ship going off again on a shuttlecraft because he used to be a test pilot. So he's like, I can fly to this temporal anomaly, no problem. I can do this shit. He's like, I got this, and it's just. It's just funny, but I did do some quick reading earlier today, because you know how last week we talked about how cool it would be if like at the end of the season we saw how Pike got in the chair from the menagerie later on. So, and I'm guessing if I'd watched the menagerie like recently, I'd know that they actually go over a story in the menagerie as to how he got there, and it doesn't happen for years down the road. But I also wouldn't mind if they mess with the timeline, or we're gonna do something and this is where it happens, and then they play it off, and they're gonna, you know, they keep him secret for some years, than just say he did. I don't care. Like, I would much rather see our scenario that we talked about last week, where Pike.
Yeah, it just makes more sense to me if, like, especially now that the people are there, right? Like, if you were gonna stick to the whole, you know, 7 years, 5 years, how many ever years it was down the road.
Right.
then why introduce these people? If you're gonna introduce them, I feel like now, basically what we're gonna watch is, I feel now, is Pike's gonna get fucked up, super fucked up, and we're actually probably maybe gonna get lucky and see Spock do the whole like drop his ass back off after meeting these people kind of thing, since he's gone from the series too. You know, and then they'll also have that neat transition where they bring in whoever's gonna, you know, take over at the same time. Because just like, and I know there's a million different ways you can do this, but I kind of feel with them leaving, and if you're gonna introduce them, like, why wouldn't you just take the liberty with the timeline, especially on a pilot episode? And this has already been renewed for 3, you know, like.
Yeah, congratulations to them. They got cleared for season 3 this week, which is awesome. Of course they did. Why
not give those actors that kind of cool, like, pilot episode send off? You know, like, we get to tell that story again, and then you guys are off to do your own other acting adventures or whatever, you know? Like, that just to me would seem like the thing every writer in the room would have thought and felt. And unless it was just somebody sitting up at the way tippy top of the chair going, no, you know, like, I don't know how it wouldn't happen like that.
Well,
and I'm not saying like the story isn't going to be crazy, because, you know, we could hop through a temporal lobe or whatever, and we're just flash forward and see the accident or some shit like that, and not necessarily have this version of Pike actually be in the chair and go off. We just see the accident because we're in one of those anomalies, and we see what happens to him, and we see what Spock does, and then it's kind of like everything goes back. So now Spock kind of knows what he has to do. Just like, and the only reason I'm saying this is because Pike does that exact thing in this episode. He sees in the anomaly him and Ash is like fight, but he doesn't see all of it, right? Because he doesn't see Ash all tangled up. But then when that part happens, he's like smart enough to think about it and go, hey, I'm having real life deja vu. Like, I actually saw it and I'm experiencing it. Oh, I shot that thing, and that's what I shot. You know, like,
right.
It wouldn't be beyond writers to take a scene like that and like use it as massive foreshadowing. And it's one of those, like, when you see a tweet, then after the game comes out, like, and someone points out, hey dude, they told us like 7 months ago what was gonna fucking happen, like right here, there it is, you know, like, you're like, oh, I'm so stupid, I did not see that.
Yeah, I mean, and with all the time travel, they could just, at some point, people are speculating whether or not which timeline this is when it comes to just all the different Star Trek timelines that are out there now, or at least the 2 that are out there. The Alpha timeline and the Kelvin timeline, I think, are what they're calling the 2 timelines. But yeah, you know, it could go either way. It would be cool to see that, and it would make more sense as if we got to see him save Spock somehow and get the Delta radiation poisoning is what happened to him. In fact, if you go online, it says the original story from the menagerie was he was conducting a inspection of a Class J training vessel when a ruptured baffle plate exposed a large number of cadets to Delta radiation, exposing himself to the dangerous levels of radiation in order to rescue the cadets. He was severely injured and left an invalid in his chair. So, you know, that's while it still rings true to his character of what we've seen of him so far. It would be cooler if he saved Spock, injuring himself and putting himself in the chair, and thus instilling Spock's idea of mutiny for the Enterprise to take him back to Talos 5 later on. But, you know, time will tell. We won't know that until the end of the season. What the final, you know, because these guys are gone after this season, at least on a permanent basis. I mean, it took us 7 episodes to get to Spock. Did you like his reveal? Did you like our meeting him? We had hoped for it for weeks and weeks and weeks, and he's finally here, and we don't get much of him, really. He's kind of asleep, or he's pretty much asleep the whole time, or rambling.
I mean, it was I hate it because I'm gonna sound like disappointed.
It's fine.
But it's and I dislike this expression is, but it is what it is. Like, he didn't do anything, but I also like the fact that like they used his backstory, and I like how Mama Bear put it to Papa Bear. Like, you can kind of go fuck off with your Vulcan bullshit, and we can talk about the human side of our son, and you can also get off your high horse, because I'm not under your authority. I am your wife and equal husband. Try again. And I was like,
love that quote.
Get it, dude. I fucking was bouncing on the chair. I was like, oh, I don't even know why I have a problem with Vulcans, but they're almost kind of like elves. They're just a little too fucking snobby on a constant basis. Like, you just want to see one of them get fucking put down.
She did it too. And let's not pretend or ignore the fact that she found Spock in like no time, because she's been hiding him for a while, like for a decent amount of time. Now I can't tell how much time has passed between these episodes. I mean, there's still, I mean, they've felt fairly like bam, bam, bam. Like you're pretty much, I mean, a few of the episodes picked up right where the one of them left off. You know what I mean? So I don't know how much time is going. So since her angry fight with Michael some episodes ago, like between there and then, I can't imagine it's more than a week, maybe two, you know, that kind of thing. And like she's found him and hid him from everybody. Had enough time to go, I'm going to take you here where these Katra stones are, so Sarah can't find you telepathically either.
Yeah, I kind of wondered though if she really found him, or it was more like Spock's like last moment of clarity, kind of, you know,
going home to mama.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can push in the coordinates and send the beacon, but by the time I land, like, I'm gonna be like all 1-877-655-599-321, blah blah blah, you know, like, and she's just gonna be like, what the fuck? But she's not dumb by any stretch of the imagination, like, and she knows all of the story because everybody's already been like, hey, he killed a bunch of people, and she knows that a secret space force is fucking looking for him, and it's like, well, that kind of leaves me one option as a parent that don't give a fuck about any of these guys. Like, you're going to go in the crazy glowy head room where nothing gets in or out, and you're going to fucking pace around until I figure some shit out.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I mean, that's
bring
like,
them some food here and there.
Yeah, dude, like, I know that sounds like a really dumb way to put it, but I have really imagined like that's what it was. Like, I don't think she was out there on the Carmen Sandiego space trail like fucking tracking him down. Like, she
found him pretty much right away, because Georgia, when they picked up Giorgio on his shuttle, she's like, I found it abandoned. I don't know where he is. So I mean, she had him for a bit.
Like, yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, I think before he went completely bonkers, he sent himself somewhere and knew that if he sent her like probably a piece of the Alice in Wonderland message, I know he needs help. I don't know what I'm getting, because he probably sent something like, I'm falling and falling and falling in time I have, or whatever, you know, and it's like, well, that's a really random piece of the fucking story of this secret book that I read to my child, you know, to send to me, right. You know? But I like how they brought up that part of the story as well, and you kind of like come to find out that, you know, whatever their fancy word for dyslexia basically was, and
Lataktarai.
Yeah, you know, and let's face it, dude, dyslexia is a dick word to have for dyslexics.
Right.
Like, why
couldn't you have named it as a
like what? Yeah, why would it be almost an easy fucking word? Like, what, you know what I'm saying? Or it would be known as like some just very simple abbreviation, but it's like, we're gonna start it with a letter that a lot of dyslexics just fuck up, and you go, well, that's just being cruel.
or more importantly, why is the word for dyslexia not a palindrome, spelled the same way backwards and forwards? That'd be nice as a doctor to name it something that the people who have it can actually just like not mess up.
Yeah, dude, that would have been, you know, the doctor that named that was just a doctor. Like, he, like, in the sense that I am just 100% curious what makes a human do what it does, or things do what they do. Like, if it would have been named, like, the palindrome, like you said, or something super fucking easy, that would have been the doctor that, like, actually cares for his patients. You know what I'm saying? Like, the guy that got into medicine because he genuinely wants to help people.
Right. Like, this is how I'm going to make everybody's life better. Yeah. Not just name it whatever medical term it needs to be named. Let's see. So we learned that Spock had a learning disorder as a kid, and Sarek either didn't know about it or ignored it. But Amanda caught it. She knew that there was no way that a half Vulcan, half human kid at the Science Academy was going to, or the learning institution was going to get the help he needed to fix it. He would just become a pariah even more than he already was. So she took it upon herself to read him Alice in Wonderland and teach him, you know, how to live in a world where up is down and down is up and left is right or whatever. You know what I mean? So, you know, that was cool. I'm really, really enjoying the two kids that play Burnham and Spock. Like, when we see their flashbacks, like the kid who plays Spock, like that kid's cool. Like, he's super cool.
That's also a kid you wouldn't want to see, like, at a dimly lit doorway in a dark hall, like, and just, like, uttering anything to you. Like,
no, because the one time where he was, like, watching Burnham be read to by Amanda with the candlelight, like, his like, cute little smirk, like, when he, like, smiled because he was like, oh, she's sharing that with her as well, and so she'll know my world that I know, that kind of...
Macaulay
like,
Culkin was cute, too,
kid.
man. He was also the good son. Like,
true.
You know, like, I'm just saying, if that little man wanted to mess with people, like, he could go play his stoic character and just, like, stare at somebody long enough that's an adult, and, like, especially, like, can you imagine, like, being that kid and an actor who's, like, obviously trained in some sense, you know, and like, being at home and then him just one day going, like, I'm going to stare at this guy that doesn't really know me while my parents are out of the room, like, getting glasses of water for everybody. And just, like, he could make someone feel so uncomfortable just by, like, eyeballing them.
Like, I need to, like, people be leaving the house. Like, I gotta go. I can't stay here any longer.
I got something, something came up. Doesn't matter. I gotta go.
Nice. And also they use that flashback to have him say that I'm confused, you know, emotions confuse me, is pretty much what he said when she was laughing about messing up the Vulcan salute. And, you know, he was like, I don't understand, you know, emotions confuse me. And so it's like, okay, so this is just his break with what's going on, like, with everything that's happening is like, it makes sense. Like, it makes sense that he's losing his mind. I did like that they mentioned that if he had been a full Vulcan, he'd already be insane by now. With whatever he's going through, he couldn't even handle it as a Vulcan. He'd be gone. Yeah. So his human side has protected him to a certain extent, but now he doesn't know what to do with all that. So he's reverting back to I think she said he was just reciting the Vulcan. What did she say? He was reciting, like, their first order, like the first order of logic or something.
Yeah, basically, like, essentially, like, he was, like, reciting the first law of robotics, like, over and over and over.
He was stuck in a loop, that's for sure. But yeah, and then of course he's hollering out what we find out later to be the coordinates for Talos 4. So either somewhere in his subconscious, I'm guessing somewhere in his conscious or subconscious mind is telling him they can help fix him. The Telosians can help fix what's wrong with him. They can set his brain going the right way again, since they have the powers they have. The look of them too, like I said, I really enjoyed their reimagining when we saw them on the next Dawn. I think next episode is gonna be pretty awesome. But yeah, so Burnham goes and gets him. She finds him. Now, here's the part that's weird for me. Sarek is all about when he. Oh, by the way, I love that he's meditating and they're like discussing Spock and discussing the fact that she knows where he is. And like, I'm like, you know what you're doing, dude? You're doing that thing that all husbands do. We just sit quietly and pretend like we're not in the room, and everybody just says stuff, and then we all suddenly... So, like, for him to show up, he's like, I wasn't meditating. I was just waiting for y'all to say some shit. Yeah, I was just...
or like what you do is like a kid where you put your headphones in, and
but don't turn it on.
And you turn your music up, like, loud enough that if your parents, like decided to, like, check while you were, quote-unquote, sleeping, they would hear something. you know, but you could just blatantly hear whatever was going on, and you're like, yeah, let's see if you guys talk some shit about me while I pretend to sleep back here. I got you.
Right. And then, so when he pops in, his entire thing is like, you've got to get him to Section 31. Like, and he's like, you got to go. You know, he needs help. They can help him there. You know, other than us in this room, they're the other ones who want to fix him because he has the answers they need. Mm-hmm. And now he's, you know, Sarek's either running or part of the task force that's looking for Spock, up to and including Leland and Section 31 and all them. So either Sarek is completely in the dark. I guess there's a few options. Sarek is completely in the dark. Leland is going off book. Giorgio is lying, or Sarek is got some ulterior motives and doesn't care if his son's caught the cannon fodder. Like, needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one. So you can rip my son's brain out because we need to figure out whatever about these signals.
Nah, because he almost like, because his voice cracked when he said he wasn't ready to lose both children in the day. So that's not.
I don't think he's nefarious. No, I don't either.
No, that's not a. And he's not even the type of dude that'll do the whole, like, you were bait. Like, he just will find another way completely around it. Like,
okay.
I don't think that. And Giorgio's not lying, because I think in the What Happens Next, there's that flashback of fucking basically, like, Burnham's parents getting fucking tore up.
Well, yeah, and we learned that Giorgio lets it drop that Leland is somehow responsible for her parents being murdered.
Yeah, and I think Leland's just the guy that is, like, I don't think Giorgio is lying, and Leland's the dude that's in charge, but Giorgio and him both know there's somebody else
calling the shots,
sitting above him that's calling the shots. Really, like, who's the man behind the man in the chair, you know, like, kind of thing. Like, and
I do like his speech when they have Spock in the chair, and he like he's talking to Burnham and is being what looks to be genuine and concerned and caring towards her and towards Spock. And I'm like, you know, that would almost work on everybody watching this if you didn't look like just scruffy, just like you just look like you're a bad guy. Like, there's nothing about you that says, I'm a trustworthy person who you can trust everything I'm telling you right now.
Well, yeah, because I mean, it would be different if him and Pike were like cool right from the get-go. But like like when we first get introduced to him, he's just flying in space on a rock, kind of almost watching everybody die. Like, I literally have to wait until the last 2% before I'm allowed to intervene, you know, man. So
right.
I'm glad you actually made it to the 2% mark and just didn't blow up instantly, like, kind of thing or whatever. And it sucks because the way he was introduced, like, you already know that whatever Pike knew about him doesn't
even scratch the surface.
Well, it doesn't matter anymore because he is now changed. He's not like, they immediately introduced with that little, like, kind of funky standoff they had of whose dick bigger and we served together kind of thing. Like, and he stands down like, yeah, you know, my bad, blah, blah, blah. But that's just a guy going, I know I have
the upper hand,
more bullets, so it's not worth my time, right?
Right.
And you immediately get introduced to that, like, from whatever Pike knew of this guy and what we see now, he is a night and day person. And then the only saving grace is that when he's talking to Pike and, like, Burnham, and that he pulls back into that guy he was, or can at least mimic it enough to say, hey man, I'm really here for you guys. Like, just because I'm doing this secret shit, it's really because of my valor, not because I'm a guy that'll just do all the bullshit that no one else wants to fucking do, right?
Right.
You know, so yeah, dude, I think that guy is just, when he dies here eventually, because I think he's not
Giorgio's going to take over.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to make it through this season. Like, he's
right.
not, and if we see him in the new show at any point, it's going to be because they've rewound something to tell, like, a past story kind of thing. And the only reason they have to do that is because it, like, intertwines with this show in some way, shape, or form, right? So, yeah, like, I feel like that this dude was basically, like, kind of introduced to be an adult Joffrey. Like if Joffrey made it to adulthood and like survived all of the massive plots against him, and he has somehow wiped out everybody and basically started this like, I'm not a bad guy, but everybody knows you don't fuck with him, you know, like kind of thing. So everybody's like, eh. Like that's where that guy is now. But they're gonna kill him off like horribly this season, I feel like.
Yeah, it could be pretty rough. He doesn't seem. Giorgio looks like she is set to do every. She has her game plan.
Yeah, she's already on her high horse. Like that. Like, you know, I'm gonna say it, man. Pussy's on a pedestal. Like everybody is looking up to her at this point. Like no one in that ship can remotely even like play a game of chess with her. Like she like when she dropped that bomb on him today, that was basically her going like, you understand I've had this in my back pocket for like 2.5 weeks now, but you kept wanting to go. I'm the fucking boss guy. You better listen to what I say. And like, this was just her dick on table. Get out of my way. I'm done with you. Like,
right.
So that's why I think that this guy, especially the way they've kind of shown him, and then, you know, like Giorgio going, dude, he's going to erase your brother's brain. And like Giorgio flat out goes like, I'm not being honest because it's beneficial to your brother or anybody else. It is exclusively beneficial to you and I for you to know this. Like, you know, at least she shoots it straight with her shady shit. You know, like
right. Well, you know, and something,
but like she does. I like her. She does it so well. Like I'm almost more excited for her shit, dude. Like I want to watch her
show.
Yeah, dude. I just want to watch her be this deadly beautiful little smartass like that. I just and like the ultimate authority, and then her like playing the oh hey I'm pretty, come here, and like being the little perfume hand that like drags Tom and Jerry along, you know. Like I can't wait for them to write those kind of like episodes, and then we get to watch her like violently stab the shit out of them, you know, because I like how it was like, did you kill her, like when they're talking about her mother and she's like, I don't remember. It's all a blur.
It's a blur.
Yeah, it's a blur.
I love that you used, just like last week, I love that you used Tom and Jerry and the perfume nose hand as your reference. Like they're like, I love that that's what you referenced. That's so fucking old.
Yeah, dude. Like to me, the scent hand, like whether it was bacon or steak or a pie or like the perfume, like forming into a little like finger, like beckoning something, the perfect way I think to describe anybody that's like, yo, what the fuck is that? Like,
what's that smell?
Right there, yeah,
that
like
good?
Right there, dude. That thing nails it.
You know, and something that I had forgotten until I read about it this week, and I read about it because of a article that was like, who could the Red Angel be? Well, something we're forgetting about Giorgio is that when she was the Emperor in the Mirror Universe, when the Defiant came over from when the Defiant ship came over and they had the Defiant for all those years, that Defiant ship was from 10 years into the future from the time we're at right now, or, you know, a year ago or whatever. So she actually knows the future already because of the data banks on the Defiant. At least up until 10 years from now, then she's going like everybody else, living a day to day. But so she's had the Defiant for years, and we're studying the data in it and reading about all this that happens in this place. So we all forget that she knows that stuff, which is part of their reason people are saying that she could possibly be the Red Angel, because she already knows of future events without even having to have time traveled. So that's just something that if you have forgotten it like I had, I wanted to bring it up because, especially for people listening, hey, like that's where she's at right now. She's got 10 years of future in her noggin. So wherever she's pulling this information from, she's known it. You know, I also believe she's perfectly and completely capable of hacking into Leland's whatever shit he thinks is private. I'm sure she found a lot of this stuff on her own, but when it comes to the overarching story, the Defiant and their memory banks may come into play in the overall story. I don't know. Whoever the Red Angel is, that if she's it, that could be part of the reason. But once again, it's still up in the air. People are saying, I love all the jokes that are out there on the internet about who it could be. I love all the, you know, a lot of folks like you and I you were saying last week it could just be a robot. Someone this week said the hack. So Arium gets hacked, or at least gets affected this episode. Near the end.
Basically,
she got some malware.
Yeah, dude, she was the guy that was handing out CDs on the street corner, like, yo, check out my mixtape, homie. Like, it's hot, drop it. And, like, went home and actually put it in their computer, and then that guy's now masturbating through your webcam, watching you. Like, do your shit. Like, that's what happened right there. Like,
yeah.
So, my thing is, with, like, this whole little thing is so the little squid torpedo, you know,
Right, they sent the probe into the. Yep. They flew in as soon as they started getting temporal. They shot the probe in.
Yeah, and then the probe comes back from the future. Now, like, Ash is like trying to like break this fucking thing off the machine because of the data breach,
like crowbarring it.
Yeah,
right.
And the only thing that slightly confused me is when they showed the screen and she's reading the data breach info and like you see the 3 red dots like pop behind. I was like, well, okay, somebody's sending some subliminal shit or ones and zeros that only a android brain or whatever it is going to see, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then as it like zoomed into her eye, like I just don't know if it was one of those funky transitions where then it's like, hey, we're just showing you Giorgio, so this was just a cool way for us to like loop into this. Or if it was like actually one of those like, hey, we're following the transmission signal and the little red dots that actually went in the eye are really going back to this ship and you're just now on here and we're talking about with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
Did the shot transition from Arium's face to her eye to Giorgio?
So when it goes into her eye, like when it's like when the lights flash and then the camera goes to pan into her eye, like to see the recording as it goes into like what, like where her iris is and it lights up.
Mm-hmm.
When the camera pulls back out of that light, it's the very top of the spaceship that Giorgio and them are in. Like it's like the overhead light that is like,
okay, that's right. You're right.
Down. So I was like, okay, is this just a cool camera shot to transition, or is this we're following the transmission and then it's just taking us into the environment where the transition's going, kind of thing, without telling us.
Right.
But then I was like, okay, so as you've said before, 31 knows or has proven they can time travel.
Like I said, I don't know if I was right about that, so don't take that into account.
But all I'm thinking here is like Ash was trying to like crowbar that shit off. And I'm like, well, what if we were following the stream and the man's really just kind of like putting on a show and these guys have been dinkering with this temporal shit for a while.
He did insert himself into that shuttle pretty much without question. He made sure he got on that shuttle.
Yeah.
You're right. There is definitely a malicious angle, or there is a possible malicious angle to the probe coming back and attacking the ship and attacking Ash. But we're also so if we've sent the probe, and let me go. This is my other angle, because you're right. My immediate thoughts when watching the episode were all right down that channel, minus that it may just been a camera shot, like a camera transition.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I'm like, yeah, she got hacked. It's, hacking is bad because of, hacking's bad. Okay. Like it just is. So something is quote unquote wrong with Arium now, and she's going to go all, off book. Right now, but part of me after thinking for a while went, okay, so this temporal anomaly was created by the Red Angel. The Red Angel has done nothing but at least point out places that people can help people, or save people's asses when we don't quite make it in the mission. Like last week. Like, we're okay, fine, I'll come out and shoot some shit and make things better. But, so we're all assuming that probe coming back and attacking the ship was a bad thing, except the only person that thing went for was Ash. The probe only attacked Ash and went for it, went to try to kill him. And then, so I think
that was just where the arm came through, and he was the closest fucking thing next to it.
Was it? I mean, you're right. You are correct, possibly, but was it?
No,
You know
I mean,
what I'm saying?
yeah, no, because there was only one arm in there, and Ash was the closest thing to it. Like, Ash went at the fucking arm first, like, when it broke in. And then Pike, like, there's nothing else fighting him, and he's like, all right, do I shoot the guy or shoot the, like, do I wound the hostage or do I,
right.
do I take out the arm? Like, I don't.
Well, but let's just say, so if Arium...
when they took it out, its main objective was the data breach. Like,
correct.
After that, the only reason it seemed to give a fuck about Ash was because Ash was like, stop whatever you're trying to do. Like, once Ash became less of an annoyance, it went directly for the data breach.
Right, and they did activate whatever shielding they had, so it may have stopped any other arms. Because let's not forget, there was like 8 arms on that thing. So if it had wanted to send all 8 through the shuttle at once, it could have. It just sent one that had the data end on it. And
like looking at like the way the squid was doing its arms, like it looked like, I mean, what squids and kind of octopuses do, man. Like they're looking for holes that they can fucking poke their shit through. But also when they were blowing that thing up, it was still looking for like ways in. Like, I don't care if I'm going to blow up. Like, all I need to make sure is that data thing is doing what the fuck it's doing. Because I was half expecting them to, like, go to blow it up and they get out of the ship, but then all of a sudden you saw the future squid disconnect. But it just didn't seem to care. It was like, nah, data breach is happening. I'm solid. My job is now done.
Right. The entire job was to the entire job to get the data breach, or was the entire job to quote unquote hack Arium?
I mean, I think the entire job was to hack Arium and then just like kind of like you go in, here's my main objective, and as I'm dungeon crawling through this file system, if I happen to stumble across anything else as I'm sucking the life out of it, more power to me. But
right.
My main goal is just to get this one thing. Right.
Or knowing that causing that breach of the people on that ship who are going to be monitoring what's going out, she's one of them.
Yeah.
And so and this is only because if Arium becomes the Red Angel, if it turns out that she's the Red Angel, then, when it comes to looping time and having to make sure certain things happen back so you will arrive where we are in the future. Like, that's where it's like, I have to send this probe back and I have to have it do the data breach, and Pike is going to save so-and-so. So he shoots the arm and gets in the data breach, and I myself in the past will be watching the screen to then get hacked and set all this into motion. That's the possible. That's kind of where I'm going down. That's kind of the path I went down after thinking about it for a while. Is that this is if she only because and I really the only reason I'm saying all this is because she's already an artificially modified human being, because the producers have said she's human, but she's been highly modified, of course, as you can look at her and tell. So, and with the Red Angel, A, looking like it's a feminine shape, B, being of a mech suit of some sort, it could possibly be just a logical progression for her, the way that she's modified herself already. You know what I mean? So just an idea, because it's not if it's Burnham, that's too on the nut. Like, that's too much. Like, we know the show's about you.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be anybody.
I don't think it's going to be. I
don't think it's anybody on the crew at all. Like, to me, if you're going to have this omnipresent godlike being, it ain't gonna be just one of our people that were on the ship in a suit. Like, I'll give you, like, Arium is the only person that would even remotely make sense for me, just because, like you said, they could have done the flashing lights and then it's like, hey, here's your objective, like, somehow. But then you get in the whole, like,
there's all kinds of holes in my plan too.
Yeah, it's like, where did it start at? Like, how did she come from the future somehow and survive and then send it back and blah, blah, blah. Like, to me, this is just more of actually someone who was in the future already and had done the due diligent math kind of thing and is like, if we change these events, blah, 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 blah. Right? Or it's actually just something crazy like it is Spock, and it's the fucking Talos people.
Talosians, yes.
Fucking made him go do some shit because he stumbled upon him on some like adventure thing of his, and that's why his brain's all fucked up.
Right.
And since since every time one of these things is near like a temporal anomaly, like he can exist anywhere and everywhere all at one time, going in these fucking things, and especially with the mycelial network and all the crazy fucking doodads they're now having connected into this shit. Like,
right. I do kind of hope the fact that we're dealing with time travel this season, that at some point this is kind of like to cure all the haters, is that at some point we start off on another timeline. Did we talk about this last week? I feel like we did. Maybe we didn't. I don't know. But yeah, I hope it starts off on another timeline. That way Discovery can go, and everything from 2018, 2019 on can go on its own path. It can look the way it wants to look. It doesn't have to tie into canon. It can have those certain, especially since you and I did that time travel series when we were in between shows towards the end of last year. A lot of our time travel stuff we watched, you see the reoccurrence of, there are things that happen in any timeline that always happen. No matter what you've done, this is going to happen. The Kennedy assassination, the Berlin Wall coming down, like certain giant, and so like that's that
just
way.
A jackass playing like the devil's advocate, and like, because basically, like, here's the problem: when you hit time travel, you're God.
Mm-hmm.
That's all there is to it. If you can time travel, you're God. Do whatever the fuck you want. Like, yeah, you may have a finite amount of like there's no reset button. Like, you can go back in time, but if someone fucking clubs you to death, like, that's fucking on you. Like,
game over, bro.
But at a certain point, like, you can start darting around and just go, oh, I need a new kidney. Well, I'm gonna go back to my old self and just fucking take it, or go to another version of me and take it, or whatever. Like, there's all kinds of bonkers ass shit you can start fucking doing to just infinitely live. When, like, they do the time travel and then someone goes, there's nothing you can do, that's just a jackass going, hey, fate's a real thing. Like, there is a God, and it's all predetermined. Like, you can't do anything about it. Just live your life as is. Like, it's always gonna go the way you thought. And it's like, no, you just unlock God mode, jackass. Like, you don't get to put the fucking brakes on it anywhere. Like, if I can time travel, at no fucking point is anything ever remotely finite. I could walk and stop time and grab that Kennedy bullet and fucking move it. Every time someone tried to kill him, I don't care if they tried tomorrow, 1 minute later with a fucking Uzi, you know what I can do? Literally move every single one of those bullets out of the way. The man will not die. I got a job. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I hate that little bullshit gets thrown into time travel movies. You know, it's like, no, dude. Like, you don't get to have the best of both worlds. Like, it doesn't work that way when you're time traveling.
Yeah, well, I mean, the only reason I was alluding to that was that you could still have Discovery and the shows from then on their own timeline, and you could still have callbacks to other stuff that we know from the future, but it's not the same timeline. You know, just more. You could still have fan service.
Like, I totally agree with that. Like, I was just talking about how when, like,
you just went off on it
when you brought in the little hand of fate shit right there, and I was like, nah. But like, it would be cool. Like, say they did something to save this timeline, but then it was like the ultimate sacrifice, like almost like last year. Instead of being in a mirror, you're just adjacent now. Like, everything's there, but it's not. We don't know everything that has previously happened. Like, certain little things are different, and they just go about their shit.
All I'm waiting for is the one sentence, like the one from the 2009 Star Trek movie, the reboot movie, where when Spock time traveled and him and young Kirk are having a conversation, old Spock and young Kirk are having a conversation, and they let Leonard Nimoy start a new timeline. He was like, with like one sentence, he was, and everybody who's in the theaters was like, And we're on a new timeline. Okay, got it. We're good. Everything does not have to be like remember it. Everything is completely different now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like it was like he has this long monologue, and then one sentence is like,
yeah, dude. Like I hate continuity, just like in general. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, if you're doing a scene and you're holding a coffee mug, like hold the coffee mug the whole fucking time. Like I get that, but if you started a series and then you reboot a series, at that point, to me, it's really just a whole new thing with the shared fucking name. Like, that's it. And all I see it is like, hey, all those other episodes we watched were all Mondays. You know what day I'm watching now? Every fucking Tuesday. You're telling me like none of these stories could have happened in between anything that was going on all these other ones? Like, the only time you run into that shit is when they're like, 1992 at 12:58 a.m. Pacific Central Time, Michigan. This lake, these coordinates, like, and they go to so much specific detail. You're like, okay, I get it. That one's there.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for this. I'm waiting for the time travel stuff to have a major impact on the universe that we're watching, and it wouldn't bother me one way or the other. Once again, I'm not the kind of Trekkie who is all hung up on things being completely canon, completely lining up. And while it's fun to like see them because they've tried and they've done a lot of things to like play to that, like whether it be the different uniforms and them making the jokes about colors on the first episode of this season, or writing books that you can read that kind of fill in the gaps and they explain why this looks this way and that looks that way. You know, Pike ripping out all the holographic comm systems from the Enterprise and just uses screens from now on. Like all that stuff is fine and it's fun, but I don't need it. I like it, but I don't need it. So yeah, I'm not really hung up on what the timeline is and if it changes. So it doesn't bother me.
If you're one of those people that sits on Twitter at this point and like just hates everything about this Star Trek, like you just like being mad. Like that's all there is to it, dude. Like you just like being mad. Like if you're also one of those stands out there fucking bashing every Marvel movie or DC movie that comes out or female fucking oriented movie, like you just like being mad, man. Like fucking learn to love yourself. I swear you'll get happier. Yeah, like, it's stupid.
Right. Did you like Bertman and Georgiou's fight?
Yeah, that was fucking cool. I like how she just fucking rocked her right away. And like Georgiou looked at her and you could tell Michael been wanting to do that for fucking ages.
Right? She's like, make it look good. She's like, oh, I'm not pulling any punches here. This is my one free shot, and I know you're gonna let me win this, so I'm good. Even the shot, like from the shot that the camera was like inside the wall, where you saw her head like smash into the glass, you're like, oh shit. And then when she's escaping with Spock and Georgiou wings her, like with the phaser, the face that Georgiou makes, like, I didn't hit, it didn't hurt, did it? Yeah.
Gotta make it look real. Better push that button great. Before I have to fire one more.
Those two need to, those two on screen, especially with the dynamic the way it is now, needs to happen a lot more.
What needs to happen is when this show ends or these characters have moved on or however it shakes out, they need their own like buddy cop, like action comedy show.
Right.
Like that's what they need. And like Georgiou will be the like senior detective and Michael is not the up and comer. Like they've been partners for a while because there's no way you get like the dynamic of it.
It's like Lethal Weapon. Yeah,
but not like Georgiou's not like Riggs. Like Riggs was always from day one in retirement. Like Georgiou's still like, I got it. Like she's the seasoned vet, you know, but like Michael's basically, you can tell like in that buddy cop show, like Michael would be the one that like when they retire is going to be the new like, ta-da, we're doing okay. Like we still got our star detective. We're all right, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, their scenes together are few and far between these days, and they're just, you can tell that both of them, the actresses, just like working together. Like all their scenes come off flawless. It's beautiful. It's great. So her breaking out of there with Spock, There wasn't much else that happened. We already talked about the ending. I did like a little throwback to I think Obi-Wan pulled the trick in Star Wars where he hung on to the bottom of hung onto an asteroid while people were looking for him and just turned all his shit off. Like that's straight out of the Star Wars, like how to avoid people searching for you. So Burnham like parked her shuttlecraft on an asteroid as the other. There's like 2 or 3 Section 31 ships out there.
Yeah, I feel like that trick's just like the equivalent of like Dukes of Hazzard, like parking their like car in a van, like a barn or someone's garage or some shit. Like spaceships, asteroids are just garages for spaceships. Like at this point, it's like, we can always just park on this thing that's spinning like a couple thousand miles an hour in the air. Like, nah, no big deal. Like,
yeah, it's all heavy metals. You can't scan for that thing anyways. It'll look just like the rest of the asteroid. You're fine. But yeah, other than the fact that it's like Googling, she has the computer Googling while she's sitting there with everything turned off. But yeah, that's where she finds she switches the coordinates that Spock was talking about.
Well, she doesn't start Googling until. She doesn't move until she gets the notifications the ships are out of range. Like
true.
She waited it out.
Nice, yeah, and so then we get to Talos 4 reveal, and this is a great season. Like this season the last season was good and great in its own way. But this one is it's really hitting its stride. And the fact that they're cleared for a 3rd season, it's fun to watch. And there has not been an episode this season that I cannot wait for Thursday. Like I'm ready. I need to be Thursday now.
I just yawned, so I'm good.
Yeah.
I can wait because I know it'll be action packed again and I don't got it in me to fucking go through another one.
Right. But yeah, it's going to be a good next episode. Talos 4 will be fun. I'm going to have to actually, I think I'm going to have to make you watch The Cage. I'll have to sit you down one day when you're tired of flooring your house.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah, it'll be cool to see where they're pulling from, to see some of the stuff reimagined, and actually for me to even spin myself up on it because it's been a little while since I've watched The Cage. So, yeah, that's next week. We thank you, everybody who tuned in. That is it for Season 2, Episode 7 review from the Two Dads. We thanks for you all for tuning in. Check us out anywhere you listen to your podcast. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notifications button. And we'll catch you guys next week.
Later, guys.